Happy New Year, YouTube. I know, it's the middle of February. I'm late. I've been busy. I've been procrastinating as well. Um, we'll get into all that stuff in just a little bit. So, since this is the first video for this year, let me start off with talking about the goals for what we want to get done this year, right? So, some garage slash shop improvements. I don't know, guys, if you noticed, but it's brighter in here than it was in the last video. I already got this goal done. New lights are installed. I already got them wired and hanging, all that good stuff. Took a day or two. Got that done in early January. Should have done this years ago. Just the night and day difference, no pun intended, between the old lights and the new lights. It's just astronomical. I don't think the camera picks it up as well as it is in person. It's a really good upgrade. I should have done it a long time ago. So that's goal number one for the garage. The goal number two won't happen till spring / summer. I'm gonna get rid of my tried and true old electric heater, and I'm going to go with most likely a ductless mini split that's going to give me AC as well as remote control functions for turning the heat or the AC on whenever I want to from inside the house. It'll save me from having to come out here and kick something on and waiting for it to get comfortable and coming back out later. Right? I can just wake up, set the temp, and walk out whenever the hell I want. So that'll be a video. I'll post that when we get to that, sometime spring / summer. The last set of goals is I really need to do a better job with my tool organization and the setup and just the setup and all that stuff, right? I got a couple new tools. I got some old ones that has been hanging around. Sometimes it takes me 20 minutes to set a tool up to use it for 30 seconds and then 20 minutes to put it back where I was storing it, right? And then, there is no one tool for metal fab, so it's like you fuck around for 20 minutes trying to set up a tool, do one little thing, and then you gotta pull it out, put another tool in place to finish what you were doing, and then sometimes repeat that process 3 or 4 times, or start back over, from scratch. So it's very inefficient, and I should be doing a better job with it. So there'll be a lot of little, hopefully quicker videos of setting up some of these tools with, efficiency in mind, the ease of deployment, and just, I think it'll be cool. So you'll see those videos as they drop throughout the year. I have some ideas on what I'm doing there. I haven't fully planned them out yet. I've had other focuses. Okay, so next set of goals is for the star of the show, the Nova. And technically, it's only one real goal, right? There's many little dependencies and stuff that I have to do with it, but it's really just one goal. The goal is I want the engine running this year. It doesn't sound like that much, but when you really think about it and plan it out, especially from a car that's completely disassembled, doing a drivetrain swap and everything else in it, there's a lot that has to go into this. So, motor's got to be finished being put together and assembled and all that stuff. Got to put the torque converter and trans together, put the subframe cross member in, plumbing for the motor or for the cooling system, as well as the trans, as well as the fuel system, then of course electrical, and then there's a miscellaneous ton of shit that goes into it, right? It's going to be a lot of work, and I'm hoping just to hear it run this year. I don't even know if I'll have exhaust on it, right? And the car won't be drivable because it doesn't have brakes at the moment. I don't have a drive shaft. I don't have exhaust on it. I have all these other little things. I'm hoping to hear it run and breathe for the first time in probably 8 years. Okay, so that's the goal there, and I've been working towards that. So let me catch up on some of the things that I've done aside from just the lights. I put the front spindles on the wrong sides of the car. So when I did the front suspension year and a half ago, or whenever the hell I did it, I inadvertently put the wrong spindles on the wrong side. This is a rear steer car is how they classify that, so that means the tie rods face towards the rear of the car. I had them facing forward, which means the driver was on the passenger was on the driver, and vice versa. And because of that, I couldn't hook my steering up. So whenever I pulled the car in the driveway and had to wheel it back in the garage, the wheels would go like this or like this, and it would bind the car up, so I'd have to stop, walk out there, straighten the wheels, come back in, winch it a little bit, come back out, fix the wheels again, come back in, winch it a little bit, and just repeat that. It got very cumbersome, and it was because of pure laziness, because it's such a pain in the ass taking apart the front suspension. Well, I finally bit the bullet and I fixed that. I should have created a video for it because I don't have a spring compressor tool, and you don't need one, right? I talked about this in the video when I did the suspension. I used 2 ratchet straps, one on each side, and a safety chain just to be safe, and did it that route. And I needed to do that because there's absolutely no weight on the front of this car other than a little bit of sheet metal from the fenders. So you can't put a jack underneath the lower control arm, because the minute that ball joint comes loose, it just lifts the whole front of the car off the jack stands. So I could have showed you a video of like a little trick to get past that if you don't have a spring compressor tool. Most people would be like, just go to the freaking AutoZone or one of the tool stores by you and rent one. I could have done that. I've also got 2 ratchet straps, and I didn't have to get in the car and drive 2 miles to the store and back and forth, you know, rent the tool. And sometimes I'm a little stubborn. But it worked, and I got that done, so the front suspension is now complete. I actually got the struts and everything hooked up. Alright, then I started work on the motor. So you guys may or may not have seen it in the background of previous videos, but I've had a bunch of boxes sitting in the corner over here. I had a bunch of these boxes sitting here on my workbench, and they've been sitting here for a long time, right? Look at the amount of dust just sitting there, right? This is all the valve train. This is the cam, valve springs, push rods, trunnion upgrades, all that. It's been sitting here for over 6 months. I decided on the cam probably late summer of last year and ordered it, and was here sometime in the fall, and it's been sitting there since then, right? Other tools, or the parts I should say. Oil pan, this has been sitting here 2 years, right? This box has been sitting here well over a year, and this is like the oil pump and lifters and lifter trays, a crank bolt, barbell, you name it, timing chain, all that good stuff. That's been sitting there at least a year. I've had the trans cross member sitting there that I need to fab up to the subframe, and this torque converter here for at least a year, and all that stuff was sitting over in that corner. And yes, I've passed this, so now you can actually get this. Yeah, the motor is in a much different state than what you saw previously. So here's how this played out. And I have time-lapse footage of me tearing into this motor and doing things. I don't think you guys need to see this. You can see that on many hundreds of thousands of videos online for LS engines. But when I pulled the cam, I noticed a lot of scoring on the center journal and the second to last journal, and it made me look really closely at the cam bearings. And here they are sitting here. So this is the orientation of it sitting upright in the motor. It's nice and smooth on the bottom. This is where most of the oil would be from gravity. But if you looked at the top, I don't know if the camera's going to show that to you, but it's very porous. It feels like sandpaper, to be honest with you. And you can't just wipe it off, right? It's like, you hear that? Right? That is, and look, you can see where I've scraped it a little bit, but it's not coming off. Yeah, that's no bueno. So I pulled the cam, and I was worried about this. I went on the Chicago garage, and I posted up, and a friend of mine that I've known for many, many years from a previous car club and previous cars said, hey, I've got the installation tools. I've also got calipers and the what do they call it, the dial boards or whatever, so that we can check out your pistons and all that other good jazz, right? Or your cylinder walls and all that stuff. So he came over, and I don't want to say he helped me because he did most of the work. He pulled the cam bearings, most of them for me, and he also checked out the cylinder walls, and they checked out pretty good. There was a slight variance in the width from the height, right? They were a little wider than they are taller, and that's not normally how the cylinders wear. But when we checked with a machinist guy that he knows, he said it's most likely because we didn't have torque plates on this when we were checking the cylinder around this, to mimic having the head installed. So that explains that, hopefully. But even so, the width and height, would you want to use that equation? There was 200 or 300 thousandths wider than it was tall. It's still within variance of a a machine motor, so it was in good shape. The crank, when we checked it out, is in good shape. All the journals are in great shape. The only problem is it needs to be polished just to get rid of some of the this ridge here from the oil in between the two bearing surfaces. So I'm going to send this out to be polished, just so it's nice and clean when we, or nice and smooth and clean, so when we put in the new main bearings, we don't screw up those bearings. Same thing, that's rod bearings, and these are the cam bearings. I just got all that stuff. So thanks again to PJ. Love you, buddy. Thanks for coming over and helping me with that stuff. He's offered to come back out and help me to put in the new bearings and stuff once I get the block cleaned up and the crank out and back from being polished. So that's where we're at today, and that's where I've been procrastinating, because I've been literally futzing with this motor for a month and a half, right? And it has been, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. I keep thinking I'm going to send it out to have the block clean and just make my life easier, and then it's like, if I really want to do that, I can just kind of clean it here. Whatever. So that's the catch up to where we are today. I don't think there will be another video posted for at least another month or so. I've got a lot of things going on where I'm just not going to be able to focus on this. So it may be sometime in late March or early April before another video drops. I don't know, guys. We'll see. So thank you to all the loyal watchers. I appreciate it. Any questions, comments, obviously drop it below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. Like the video, all that other good jazz. And I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks again.